Hey folks, it's Jesse from Digging Appalachia. Today we are out in Spartanburg County, West Virginia, hunting for soapstone, and we're starting to get into it here. We found a real nice chunk here. You can see it's so soft that your hammer, you can scratch it with pretty much anything you have made of metal. Will scratch this stuff. And so far we found this piece. There are huge boulders of it here. Some of this stuff, like that's a piece of it there. I mean, you can see how big this chunk is, so there's no getting that out of here. We have about a 2-mile walk into this place, but here's the piece I'm going to try to drag out of here. I don't know if I'll be able to get it with the weight, but yeah, it's a pretty good sized boulder, and this is that same stuff we're carving lately, so you know, stay tuned and I'll try to carve and polish some of this stuff up so you can see what it looks like. So for us to actually find this stuff, one of the things we're doing is just using a hammer and going through, and the soapstone has more of a thud to it than what some of this harder rock does. You can kind of hear, like, this is a piece of soapstone here, and you can see it'll scratch with your hammer just rubbing it on that. You practically carve it with your hammer right there, like this piece here. You hear that thud and see how it scratches it. It's so soft you can actually scratch it with your thumbnail, you know, scratch it with your thumbnail. And I just bring a chisel and do a good chisel test and make sure it's, you know, actually soft like soapstone. But yeah, we're gonna carry as much of this stuff as we can out of here. It's about a 2-mile hike, so I'll see you when we get back. Okay, so this is my basic setup for cutting and polishing. Here's the rock we brought back yesterday. I took about 50 pounds of it on my back. You know, I don't know exactly how far it is, but it's a pretty good hike. But these are the pieces I brought. I actually weighed it when I got back because my back hurt so bad. I was wondering how much weight I actually carried, but yeah, this is that's probably about 30-pound chunk right there. But it's great for carving, and I want to show my basic setup. This is all I'm using to carve, and these are the most important things when you're carving because this stuff's super dusty. If you are using power tools, I definitely suggest this, or you're going to be holding your breath and blocking your eyes a lot. But with the if you're just using hand tools, such as, you know, just the basic hacksaw, standard hacksaw blade, you don't need anything special. Definitely use water. You know, you're going to want to use water because it keeps the dust down, and it's just not healthy to breathe. You're basically breathing talcum powder if you are. So I'm going to get to cutting. I'm going to do a little time lapse. So, you know, this is what I'm going to cut it. I'm using a masonry blade on the grinder, and I'm just using a grinder to save time. Okay, and this is my basic setup for actually shaping soapstone. You know, I kind of laid out both the hand tools and the power tools that I use, which is a grinder with a masonry blade to basically to cut stuff, and you can pre-shape with that. I like using a sanding disc because it actually keeps it pretty smooth while you're doing it. You know, you don't get as many lines in it. And this is a piece that I did mostly with a grinder, you know, so it's, you know, it's a pretty quick piece to do. You just drill a couple holes, grind it with a grinder, clean up some edges, and polish it up. But, you know, aside from that, my drill, which I use, basically just basic wooden, you know, multi drill bits for steel, wood, whatnot. You know, it's fine for drilling, for shaping, a couple of rasps, a metal file. I try to get some with some curves in it, and the finer files like this are, you know, they're good for shaping, and they're good for smoothing over areas that you do with the grinder if you end up going that route, which I do a lot. It's dusty. You want to get it away from your house. It looks like you're starting a fire, but these are some of the other pieces I used for carving, and they're just, you know, basic wood carving tools. This is just a screwdriver that was ground down to a point. These a couple rounds. You know, these are old wood lathe tools. I just found a pack of them somewhere, and I've had them for probably 10 years. Using them to carve soapstone. As far as starting your polish, I always start with just, I got a flat drywall pad and one of the angled drywall pads, which makes it really nice for getting into like the little edges and corners and stuff. And that's how you start the polish. You go up a couple grits with drywall sponges, and then I start with about 800 grit sandpaper, wet dry, and go up to about 3,000 is the finest grit I can basically get, you know, just off, you know, eBay real cheap or something. Also a coping saw and a hacksaw if you're not going to be cutting stuff with a grinder. And even with a grinder on big pieces, you can only get in, you know, 1.5 inches into it. So hacksaw comes in handy. Concrete saw if you need it for big stuff. But yeah, this is a basic toolkit that I use for carving. I'm going to start shaping stuff and going back into time lapse here. I'm going to be using the grinder, but in place of a grinder, you can use a rasp. So here we go. And here is some of the same soapstone that we just cut, a little polished up. This piece here has a little bit of oil on it just so you can see the shine. Yeah, so you can see that. This is just finished with about 3,000 grit wet dry paper. And this is a little preview of the sculpture that I just started working on. I'm kind of, you can see how I'm drawing the design out with marker now. And I'm going to do kind of a freeform on one side and something geometric on the back, and then it'll stand up. So it's going to be a cool little sculpture. I might do a little short when I'm done with it so you can see what it looked like. But thanks for watching. This has been Digging Appalachian.